Azura is going to be the man who will host. We're going to kick things off on Oceanborn after that Crimson Court, Alcyon East Side Delta, and Golden Aura. Kind of sad that Aligalek is not working. I wonder if these two ever played against each other. I feel like they probably should have, but I don't think that Luolis is mega active in tournaments these days. Azura is. Azura plays in almost everything. And is actually getting some nice wins on the board as well. I don't know. Would have liked to see. I don't think I ever casted them playing against each other, but I have seen Luolis against Reynor's Protoss on Data C. And Reynor was impressed. You mean Azura or Luolis? If Luolis as Terran has been cannon rushing, that's not going to be mega useful for him. Aligalek has one match between them in 2023. Azura 1-2-1. Alright. I think that a real Protoss will be able to get 5k by cannon rushing. Because you can just open up with cannons, and then even if your cannons don't really work, you can still just transition, and then you can like spam some zealots and stalkers. And that should be fine. Like in PvP, I think cannons can be effective, and in the other matchups, I think your base skill should be able to transition well enough that you're going to be able to win a lot of games on the 5k. You can do the YouTube thing, just fail and play macro from behind, yeah. It's kind of like where Euthermal can obviously always open up with a planetary fortress rush. Even if the planetary doesn't do anything, his follow-ups are still always going to be good. Like his Hellions drive by, his Widowmine drops. And before you know it, you can turn it into a normal game where you just had a bit of a weird start. And then your skill is still going to be high enough to easily win a lot of games. So I would not take that bet. Like, I think I'm a terrible cannon rusher, but I do believe I can get 5k with cannons. But that doesn't matter. We're not going to talk a whole lot about cannons, at least I don't think so. Unless he somehow found one that he really enjoys and he's going to put on a show. And it's time for our second series of the night. 80 bucks for the winner, 20 for the loser. PVT. Let's do it.
Let's get it on.
Round 1. Fight.
Bottom right side, it is the Italian Protoss trying to save the honor and pride of the Italians. It's been a very rough day for them in F1, in Starcraft, over in Starcraft in Korea. Let's see if we can at least close out strong with a W. I'd say he's a minor favorite coming into this series. It is BBEX Azura. I like Azura. Very nice guy. Proper passionate. In the top left side, we are looking at the main base of a Finnish Terran player. Always wants to play in the PvP. I don't see him in too many other events. But I know that he can't withstand the temptation of playing a couple ladder games every now and then. This is Luolis. Is he really stuck at 3.4, Ravi? I feel like he should be a bit higher than that. But as Boanan says, Cell is not a Protoss player. So even if Cell gets maybe like an already start or is slightly behind, he will not necessarily have the Protoss expertise to close it out like other Protoss players would. You're not even memeing? Is he really stuck at 3-4? I haven't seen him do his cannon rush ending of the stream lately. Is he still doing that? Because I know there was a time that he basically did that every stream where for the last 45 minutes he's cannon rushing or something, but I haven't actually seen it in forever. Ah, he quit. Okay. He will do it soon, but he actually got so much. What was the reward if he gets was 5k the target for Cell? Was there a reward for him if he gets 5k? Hey, cannon rushes are. It's a lot harder than what it looks like. I'm the first to admit it. I don't cannon rush myself a whole lot, but whenever I do always pull a bow down and end up losing my props. Makes me wonder how the hell were Turkey, Dano, and Printf so damn good in that in their prime. What? So you already paid him? So you paid him even though he didn't complete the mission? That's weak from our pal Cell. One gate fast expand over here for Azura into the Twilight Council as the first adept goes to the other side of the map, and it is a Reaper fast expand for the man from Finland. Bunker is very early, by the way. It's going to make his life a bit easier. I like this start. I like it from both players. This looks like Starcraft 2, guys. Unless these openings that Lorimbo just showed to us, this actually kind of looks like Starcraft 2. I'm ready for it. I'm going to sit for it. One last question, by the way, guys, about the Spring Regionals. What race did Uthermo get against Night Phoenix? I saw that Night Phoenix won the series 2-1. I'm sure that some of you guys were watching it. Did Mark get Zerg? He got Protoss, Zerg. Did he win with Protoss and lose with Zerg 2 times, or? That's kind of sad, by the way. He didn't get Terran once. Ah. The Zerg Wells just keep on hunting our boy. It's a bit sad. It's still fun to watch Mark in the regionals. Kind of cool. Azura is just scouting, trying to figure out what is happening, as Luolis is going to go for a pretty quick third command center. And he's also going to sneak out some cloaked banshees, guys. Maybe he has been watching or listening to Juanito, and they never expect them banshees. Yeah, Zerg is his weakest by far. Mark's Protoss actually gets really good results, and whenever I looked at it, it actually looks pretty damn good too. I think Uthermo's damn good with Protoss. Protoss is damn good. Terran is probably still his best just because of all the experience. And then Zerg is the weakest. Azura's got, I think, a perfect setup in this game. He has gone... Oh, he's gone 4 gates. Okay. I thought it was going to be 3 gates. He has a probe ready to potentially expand, but I don't think that anybody really opens up with 4 gateways Blink Stalkers if you don't at least want to deal a lot of damage / straight up kill your opponent. Gonna have to wait until the pylon's ready. Downside of opening up like this, by the way, is that you're not gonna have any units at home. And a single Banshee can actually cause a world of pain here. What do we have in the main? We have 1 tank. This tank needs to start sieging. I think this game is going to get very hectic. Azura has a lot of potential, but Luolis is the man who's going to strike first. As the Banshee is here, the adepts are completely useless against the Banshee. He's actually going to go for the recall. Wow, that's massive for the Finnish Terran. Okay, should have probably moved that Banshee a little quicker. I don't know if it's going to die. Could die. It's going to outrun the Observer, I think. Yeah. Alright, I'm surprised that the Banshee... yeah, there's no Observer on the other side of the map, so this Banshee can just activate Cloak immediately. It's a great start for the man from Finland, man. Has a very quick third orbital. It is up and running at this point. There is no detection on this side of the map. Azura is not going to deal a lot of damage here. Oh, Azura! No, 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 no. Well, I said it was a great start for Luolis. A great start has now turned into an absolutely god-tier start, as he kills the War Prison with 4 Stalkers inside of it. Yeah. As bad of a start to your best of 5 as you could ever imagine. If Azura had a nightmare about how this series could potentially go, I think that we are so far living out that nightmare. All of the things that have happened in this game probably took place in the nightmare too. Best of 5 is long, and there's plenty of time to recover from this, shake it off. Maybe we can still even turn this game into something, as the Stalkers will just blink forward. All the Marines left triple tank by themselves, and the Stalkers just blinking into the dead zone. He gets all 3 tanks. That's actually pretty sick. Alright. No more nightmares. We have shaken those off. That was actually pretty big. He could go for this tank as well, but I don't think he can really blink forward. That's a little bit painful, does not get it. Getting 3 tanks though is monstrous. If our Finnish Terran would have just left a couple of units behind, instead of sending all the bio back to deal with those adepts, if he leaves 4 Marines behind, you cannot make that blink. Great play by Azura, but obviously a little bit sloppy on the side of Luolis. Like, he doesn't have to move that many units. Adept is the absolute MVP so far for Azura. I agree. +1 is done now. Stim is 70% done. Combat shield is on the way. This Banshee is going to activate Cloak one more time. It should actually be able to grab a few more workers here. We're not going to get a ridiculous amount, but 3 is nice. 4 would be even better. If we go for probes, we can get 4. Yep. And the Observer didn't move with the Stalkers. So the Stalkers blinked up, saw the Banshee, and fired a couple shots, but the shots will only deal damage if you actually detect the Banshee. The Stalkers are now missing the move out of the Terran army. This is a very chaotic start to this best of 5, guys. Luolis is supply blocked. He's going to build 3 depots at once. It's going to take a little while before they're done. Marauders can stim, so I don't know if this is a fight that the Stalkers really want to take. And Azura is about to get the really bad news that he has completely missed the move out. No, he is going to battle this orbital, but the Marines and Marauders are here. This is not a great fight for Stalkers, by the way. Just a little too much firepower. Azura needs these units at home, and I'm sure he knows that. Maybe we can use battery overcharge. I think it's kind of mandatory. He is going to use it, but now he's going to chase his army pretty far away. So battery overcharge doesn't really matter. He does get the tank. Immortal is going to get picked off, but we have a Colossus. That is good enough to stabilize. Maybe we can blink and actually gun down some of the medevacs that are carrying bio units. One of the medevacs with 2 units inside of it died. There is one more that is fully loaded. That one gets picked off as well. Azura with a great recall and an absolutely fantastic hold. He's still 12 workers behind. Don't know if he can do too much here, but I think a cancel on the 4th is something. It's a very messy game, guys. A very messy, swingy game so far, where both of them had moments that they were probably very happy with. Both of them probably thought that the game was over at one point. So I don't think Azura was ever thinking the game is over, but obviously if you snipe 4 medevacs here, that's gonna make you feel pretty good. And you made it all the way up to a Colossus. Extended thermal lens is done already. I kind of thought he forgot about it, but Azura, despite the chaos, did manage to fire up extended thermal lens. Is now going up to 4 bases. He's playing a solid game. Got very unlucky in the start. Obviously, Banshee was not the build that he expected to go up against, and then he made that unfortunate misclick with the Prism, losing 4 Stalkers inside of it. Outside of that, it's actually been a good game by him. Those were 2 very big errors. And he's absolutely trying to rectify them. Well, the Liberator of Luolis is going to make a justice and rain from above over here on the bottom side of the map. It's a solid lib, getting 5 workers. Azura is always a fun player to watch because he is very active with his unit movement. I feel like he's always sharking around looking for freebies. Will the sensor tower get repaired? Yes. Saved on 3 HP, guys. You have a couple Zealots getting a few SCVs over here as well on the left side. Double Forge is going to be the follow-up for Azura. We have Double Robo, Double Forge, Dark Shrine online. 67 workers, 4 bases. We can cook. We can cook and we can absolutely play here. Oh, that's a bad blink by Azura. He ran in range of the tanks, blinked back, but the Terran army was there to punish him. DTs are going to be revealed by that scan, so Luolis knows that he's going to need some turrets, but he already has 5 of them. Maybe he's done his homework and he knows that his opponent likes DTs. One of the ghosts actually died there to the Zealots, but all the other Zealots have died. This time around, the sensor tower will fall. No SCVs to save it. This Protoss army, though, does look a little exposed. Looks a little naked. 1 Colossus has fallen. The other 2 are in serious trouble. The second one will fall and the third one is going to get picked off too. More Zealots running into the natural while Luolis is still just stimming forward, chasing down his army. He's going to have to save his SCVs though, but he's doing great in the fights. Big fight for Luolis. The man is cooking. 2 Terran upgrades, 4 bases. You gotta be very happy with that. Has lost a grand total of 19 SCVs so far in this game, which is not a ridiculous amount, but there's maybe something to keep an eye on. Oh, the triple missile turret defense. Second prism of the game will go down. And this one was perhaps as unnecessary as the first one. Even though the first one was more important and more valuable. We might want to take a little look at the main base of a Terran. At least the edge of the main base of a Terran. If we want to fly a prism in that's carrying cargo. It's a terrifying Terran army at this point, guys. Maybe a Nova from downtown. Steph Curry. Unfortunately too old, washed. Doesn't have it anymore. 36-year-old Steph Curry just cannot carry the Golden State Zealots by themselves. What's the man to do to get a bit of help? Why does Luolis not have 3-3 on the way, by the way? I feel like he's had time for this. Absolutely had time for this, but doesn't really do it. Bunch of Zealots getting on top of this planetary, rather, on the left side of the map. The shots will not splash over too many Zealots. The Zealots were very spaced out. Fun game, 15 minutes between these two. I feel like Luolis has the better army, but he doesn't really capitalize on the fact that he's got the better army, and with Novas that connect in such ways, having the better army means absolutely nothing. Azura lands a monstrous connection on 2 Novas in the center of the map. And I feel like he is going to win at this point. Finally, we've got the 3-3 upgrades on the way. The Vikings are going a little too far forward, so they will tank some stalk shots. I don't know about like rallying Zealots into this planetary. You're never going to kill it. Planetaries are too damn good in that regard. This is the unit that Luolis hates with a passion. If you try to play dodgeball like that with the hard and most expensive Terran units, I understand. I do feel for Terran players, don't get me wrong. I know we can watch Clem all day and it makes it look so easy, right? You run forward, you run back, you run back, you run forward. Sometimes you stand there, you gun them down. Once in a while you split. And it all looks so effortless. And then you play against disruptors yourself and you're like, oh my god, like what am I supposed to do? It is what makes a Starcraft 2 beautiful, but also incredibly frustrating. Because not everyone, unfortunately, is.
Liquid Clem.
And that's the reason why he is the guy that everyone is talking about. Luolis still has a good army, and once he gets the 3-3 upgrades online, there is obviously a chance that he lands some sick EMPs. And that he can actually stim forward with the Marauders and gun some of those disruptors down. Very curious to see how this game plays out. That Nova has potential, but it whiffs. Good job by Luolis paying attention. Stims back. By the way, whenever I watch Azura, I feel like the man is incapable of having a very silly, boring, one-sided game. I know that I can jinx myself by saying this. But pretty much all the time, whenever I watch this man, whether it's PvP, PvZ, PvT, he always finds himself in those 5, 6, 7 base scenarios with multiple armies, run-bys, double robos, double forge. I'm like, must be fun. Like, it's not something that I really aim for when I play. I do like the longer games, but it's also nice to just move someone every now and then without any heartache. No scouting necessary. Just some good old A-move. Needs to be careful here. Does fire some Novas, and Novas are pretty good. The Vikings are getting really good shots off, though. Not the worst fight there for Luolis, to be completely fair. As we now have a 4 Stargate fleet beacon transition on the way. These guys are putting on a show. This is why, by the way, I don't necessarily like to do interviews after the first series, because just because you are 10 minutes ahead of schedule, that's no guarantee that the rest of the night is on schedule. And I don't think that it really makes any sense to make every single Big Brain Bouts last forever, even if they're very fun. One Nova connects with 2 goals there, that's pretty good, but there are still 14 goals remaining. I don't know if Luolis thinks that he's playing against Zork or something, but 14 goals with 2 more on the way. It feels like it's a little overkill. Couple Novas go forward. It also feels that it's inevitable that a couple of these Novas will connect with goals, but maybe that's where the Liberators come into play. They're gonna try to prevent it. We have a crazy amount of DTs getting on top of this planetary. Try to repair it, but the planetary still falls. Now we're now gonna base trade. Never base trade a Terran or never base trade a Protoss with recall and DTs. We're about to find out. Medevacs kept working overtime though. We have a grand total of 5 medevacs. Those are the only 5 medevacs that Luolis has. I'm a little worried that if he turns this into a base trade, he's going to end up with a very low HP army. I do love the libs already, trying to keep the main base safe. Nova! Oh my goodness, I missed a big Nova by the looks of it, guys. One Nova actually connected with a lot of Terran units there. Seems that a decent amount of goals fell. We can always go back into the game. 1830. Let's keep that one in mind. We have DTs being wiped in defensively. No scan yet. How many orbitals are left? Only 2. EMP then, mate? Hello? I think Luolis is focused on this army at home. Does throw down the scan and he's going to be able to unpower a lot of the Protoss production facilities, but Azura has so many bases that it does feel that this is going to favor the Italian Protoss, who had a pretty rough start, but I think gave himself a lot of hope after sniping those tanks with the Stalkers only. Losing this investment of the 4 Stargates in the fleet beacon is obviously a bit painful, but like, you look at the map and you're like, well, cannot imagine that this is bad for the Protoss. Now we don't have advanced ballistics. He also does not have +2. Azura is thinking of maybe just trapping this Terran army. I'm not totally certain what the game plan is here. He has a lot of DTs, but there should be a scan, and we still have 10 ghosts, and of which 8 are here. So 8 ghosts are stuck in the main base of Azura. A really fun game between these two. Can say that the boys are not trying their best. A 20-minute game on Oceanborn. Liberators are going to try to make justice rain from above. We have Shadow Stride. Liberators not being moved. Azura is going to have to move them. DTs get scanned. And we'll blink away. Are still stuck now though. Might have to be recalled. It's a lot of DTs and they're going to run back into the scan radius. It's a painful loss by Azura, to be completely fair. Azura said, well, then I'm just going to go run back to the other side of the map. There was also a Liberator or 2 sieged up, but the Liberator will fall. The Marauders can't quite win that fight. What else is left here? Not a whole lot. Yeah, I just think Azura has too many bases, right? And a +1 air is... oh, man. 1.3 seconds, and yeah, it's just stuck in the main. He could repower it, to be fair. Azura is going to, I think, get ready to jump on this army. He just needs to make sure that he doesn't take the worst fight ever. I don't hate the voids. I'm okay with the voids here. Just to like get him on top of Liberators and activate Prismatic Alignment. I think it's a perfectly fine play. I think anything else would have also been fine. We have 10 gates. This is an army that I think Azura can fight. He is waiting for those voids. Where are those voids being built? All the way in the top right side of the map. Luolis is going to even bring the boys. Unfortunately for Luolis, this is not the only base that he needs to worry about. There is this one at 3 o'clock. And look at this entire brand new Protoss. Can't even call it a city, man. Metropolis over there in the top right side, guys. that is a city with a buzzing nightlife. Seoul, South Korea, eat your heart out. Azura has created a new town. And it's got some of the finest restaurants and the hottest clubs. And Reynor is going. 122 armies flying against 91. Stalkers blink forward, gun down one of the lips, and every single unit that Luolis is losing here is a unit that he simply cannot reproduce anymore. He does have a couple Vikings, by the way. Awkward fight here for the voids, but the Protoss army is big, it's powerful, and it's just a matter of time before I think the Terran will run out of steam. That Nova has potential, and all of them connect. None of them in a very big way, but in a good enough way. Perhaps that's the one that seals the deal. Luolis is battling, but he knows he's simply too far behind. GG. Azura had an absolute nightmare start to this game, and he still wins it. And I just want to show you guys the very big Nova that I unfortunately missed. Because there were 2 fights happening and they were base trading. After 23 minutes, it is the Italian Protoss. At this point, by the way, the game doesn't even look that good for him. Turns out that you never base trade a Protoss, guys. He just lands a monstrous Nova here. That I owe you guys. Multiple. None of them maybe had the perfect connection, but that's obviously still big. We go from 197 supply to it's more like 196 to 174, so minus 22 supply and a couple of very expensive units. Azura takes the 1-0 lead. We're gonna get ready for game 2. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Something along those lines. A classic. Gotta be a little frustrating for Luolis, who I think had a very good build order and had a dream start. Banshee shows up, no units at home, activates cloak, kills 5-6 probes and lost mining time with 2 base Protoss. Recall gets used, War Prism with 4 Stalkers, then flies into your Marines and you kill that too for nothing. You're gonna ask yourself, how on earth did I not win that game? Like, you would think that a Terran player at the level of Luolis at that point can even beat a 6k Protoss probably. Because it's just a dream start. Sure, Stim was a little bit late and whatnot, but will be kicking himself for moving over all those bio units and leaving the tanks by themselves, which allowed the Stalkers to blink forward, kill those tanks. And I think from that point on, it was obviously a different game.
Round 2. Fight!
Top right side, trying to save the pride and honor of Italian Starcraft today. It's been a tough day for them. Reynor had no luck in the BASILIsk Cup, or whatever the hell that thing was called. And we just saw Lorimbo get out-treated by his body Cobblestone. Can it finally be a victory for the Italians? This is BB, EX, Azura. Luolis on Discord. I don't know how that's supposed to be fair, but whatever. I think it was fair. I mean, you gotta be critical. Yes, the man had a dream start. He should have won. Got himself in a very good spot. And even in the late game, he was still doing alright. Just made a big error in the early game that kind of left the door open for a potential Protoss comeback. And it turns out that if you start base trading a guy who has more bases than you and has a lot of DTs, life gets rough. Down 0-1 and perhaps a little tilted. Let's see if we can keep it together and turn things around. This is Luolis. Yeah, he was far ahead. 5,300 spiral for both of them, give or take. Sometimes a bit higher, sometimes a bit lower, but let's go with 5,300. What is happening right now in the regionals? I'll take a little look at it. Where are those regionals, guys? At 8 PM they start with America. Is there like one more series left in Europe, or are they done with Europe already? I heard, bully, I heard. Bly correct? I think that's a tough one for our man Bly. Luolis is gonna flip the script and he says, alright, first game I played very quick, triple orbital, all out macro, banshees, tanks, marines, etc. Here in game 2 we're gonna open up with a bunch of Reapers, Hellions, and even the proxy starport. Azura is also switching things up a little, where in game 1 he obviously went for the 1 gate fast expand with the Twilight Council and the Blinky Boys. Game 2 he says, you know what, it's Stargate time. I don't know if that's because of anything that he scouted or... Okay. Gonna let the Adept Shade finish up. The only problem... I think you're forced to play Oracle here almost, no? I don't think that a... Oh man, he's gonna go Phoenix. I love Phoenix. You guys know I love Phoenix. I don't need to tell you guys how good I think Phoenix are. I'm just not sure if a single Phoenix is going to be very useful. You just have so little firepower. Luolis is actually going to turn this into a 1 base all in, eh? By the looks of it. Second barracks, he's going to go for tanks. The man just goes 1 base all in. Azura has already dropped the Twilight Council. At this point, he's got 3 units, guys. Shield battery not done yet. This is going to be painful. You can actually battle the Adept here. You should absolutely just battle the Adept. As a light armored unit is going to die very quickly. The Phoenix is not at home. Azura, just like in game 1, is in all sorts of trouble after 4 minutes. He's now going to chrono boost out a Void Ray. Yeah. Desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess. And Wayne spots too. Okay, that's pretty good. Liberator is going to siege up and make justice. Rain from above. Void is not quite out yet. We have a Twilight Council. The problem is that he just doesn't really have any unit. He's going to use Graviton Beam. He needs something at home. Waiting for that Void Ray to pop. This is interesting by Luolis. He had Cloak Banshee on the way for a split second. Changes his mind. Says, I don't want Cloak Banshees. I'm going for an Armory. Now Azura says, you know what? I don't know what the hell is happening in this game. I'm going to go in and go for a Dark Shrine. I love that I can see everything and I'm still confused. I do think that this game looks very good for Luolis at the moment. I mean, once you see triple depot, you kind of know that your opponent is one base all-inning. I also love how we went for a tech lab and now we're building a Viking. 2 gates. Dark Shrine could become massive. Need to repair your Liberator, by the way, amigo. Please repair your lip. Don't lose your lip here. That would be so silly. Alright, we are going to repair the lip and the tanks are going to crawl forward. I wonder what's up with the Thor. Does he want... Oh, with the Armory. He wants to make a Thor or something? I don't think he's going to cloak mines. Like, I have no idea what that Armory is for. Mega confused. I hope he didn't think it's an eBay and he's planning on building some missile turrets here. Dark Shrine is like 85% done now, guys. Luolis is giving a lot of respect to Azura's very, very tiny army. Now he's going to go for a Thor. A Thor is great enough, but what he really needs, guys, is a Raven. We're going to take a look at the orbital. 1 scan is available. And I really hope for Luolis that he's not going to drop a mule. Like, the moment it's 1 base against 1 base, you can actually chill, by the way. Wow, we're going to warp. Oh, he's going to go for the starport. He's going to try to kill the starport, so no Ravens, maybe? 2 scans available now. Yeah, Raven in production, but I'm not sure if this Raven is actually going to get out. But Luolis should just go for the main, mate. Go for the main. The entire army is in the center of the map trying to kill your starport. Oh, he doesn't actually finish the starport off. We have just used one of our scans. Mate, raise your depot, please. Hello? This can actually now still get a bit hectic. He can't really kill the DTs at home. The man has absolutely 0 firepower and he's supply blocked. What is happening over here in the BASILISK Big Brain Bouts number 57? As the DTs have successfully made it into the main. And now Luolis is like, alright, I guess I have to win the game with this army. Which is not bad. I really think if Azura, by the way, would have just killed that starport as he was on top of it, I think he could have won. Now it's just very weird. Hey, Raven, hello! Raven! No, don't scan, you've got a Raven. Okay, he still scans and he gets 2 DTs somehow. Great scan, I guess. I don't know what's happening over here, guys. I think the boys are getting a little nervous. Some very, very questionable decision making at the moment, but... yeah, the Raven was doing some laps. Maybe getting in the right spirit for... Oh my god, did he lose his main? No. He lost his main to a DT. Guys, we lost our orbital. We lost our orbital to a DT. Thank the Lord. Mate, if the Raven dies, by the way, you almost think that Azura should just I'll go all out on the Raven. What the hell am I watching here? It's 40 army supplier, but Terran. And is now rebuilding his main, by the way, somewhere in the middle of the map. Boys are going to go for it. The Thor is trying to put in some work. Do not lose your Raven. Oh, there's so much NTR. We have Marines for days. We have all the turrets. Don't ask me how we got here. But after 8 minutes, it is the Finnish Terran player Luolis who somehow manages to tie things up. And that was an incredibly hectic and weird game. Hello, Nate. Don't ask. I saw a Raven spinning out somewhere in the apex. We scanned with a Raven right next to us. We lost our main orbital to a single DT. But Big Daddy Thor brought it home. Yeah, that got very scrappy, messy, sloppy, etc. But this is stuff that happens, right? When you don't normally play games for this amount of money, obviously you're going to have some nerves that come into play. The idea for me always is to find 2 guys that are very similar in skill level. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I fail. But, you know, if you are about as good as your opponent, you're both going to have moves. And sometimes you look worse when you play against someone that's very close to your own skill level. If you play against someone that's quite a bit worse, then you can just have all the time in the world to comfortably do your build, and you're going to cross your T's and dot your I's, as some of our casters would say. If you play against someone that is basically your equal, things get messy. And that one was very, very messy. MMR is around 5,300, 5,400. I know that game didn't look like it, but that just means that they are pushing each other and that there are some nerves that come into play. Round 3.
Round 3. Fight.
Top right side, we are looking at the main base of the man who obviously was a little indecisive on what he wanted to do. And he says, alright mate, if you're gonna be dirty, I'm gonna be dirty too. Sending out one of his very first probes to the other side of the map. The Italian Protoss player, Azura. In the bottom left side, we are looking at the main base of our Finnish Terran, who was a little tilted apparently and a little unhappy after game 1. Should feel a lot better about game 2. Don't ask us how he got the W, but he did. It's Lu. Oh, please. Azura actually not doing anything too weird with this mega early probe scout. Maybe a bit paranoid after the proxies last game, but this is pretty bad for your Protoss economy, and I don't really like it, but okay. Who cares what I like? If it makes Azura happy, that should be the only thing that matters. Sometimes, Marines that don't have any upgrades, no stim, no combat shield, no medevac support, no eBay upgrades, they can still be pretty sick. If you get them in high enough number, where the moment they get in range, the burst damage is actually really high. And it's so damn difficult to beat that if you have a bit of a clumsy army. And Void Rays, in my eyes, are very clumsy units. Luolis is opening up with 2 Rex, by the way. Is the second Rex in the natural? That's gonna be a tech lab, I assume. Might be for Marauders with concussive shells. It's a bit weird, but let's see. It's allergy season for me already, and I've been sneezing so much, and my eyes are itchy, and my nose is itchy. It's kind of annoying. We'll manage, but it just flares up every now and then. And it's like 2-3 days of suffering, and then all of a sudden, you're like, ah, cool. And with right whiskey every day, mate. Not every day. But on a Friday night, absolutely. It is indeed Marines from that barracks in the main that has a reactor connected to it. And then a tech lab in the natural with very quick concussive shells. One of these builds where if you get a shield battery in your natural, like Azura is doing, I think you should be fine. Adepts are not perfect units here. What you really want, I think, is Stalkers. Stalkers just have a bit more micro potential near shield batteries. Alright, perfect scout here. Sees the Marauders. And let's go ahead and go home. You need every single unit at home. And then you're fine. What is... Wait, what? We're pulling SCVs too? I'd say get a second battery here, but this is something he doesn't know yet. But I think even without it, he's going to be fine. It's just very important that as a Protoss, you stand in front of your battery here, guys. You don't... Yeah, I love the second battery. Just stand here. Like, I know it's natural to kind of go back far, but the further you go back into your own... natural, the more exposed your shield battery is. And Luolis with the SCVs here is probably just going to go for this battery ASAP. Azura is going to pull the probes to the front immediately. And I think he should be more than fine. The warp gates are now ready. We can warp in a bunch of stalkers. And I don't think the Luolis is going to be able to accomplish a whole lot here. If anything. Maybe like one stalker that goes too far forward. Or an adept that doesn't quite get healed up. But shield battery overcharge is fantastic, and that's going to be -5 SCVs at the bare minimum. And Azura can just stay at home because it's 2 base against 1. The Stalker gets saved as well to make matters go even worse. And Luolis might just leave, man, because this is actually going ultra bad. I mean, he has been rebuilding SCVs, but after chasing for that final Stalker, he ends up losing everything. That's minus 16 units for 1 Stalker, 2 Adepts, a Probe, and obviously forcing out a second battery. Oh, Azura just handled that really well. Great scouting, great response. Love the initial battery. Absolutely love the backup battery, because there is a moment where your opponent can just right-click your forward battery down, and fights get awkward because you cannot save units against the concussive shells. Luolis is still going to try to make something out of this game. He does have a very quick stim. That's obviously great, but at the moment just doesn't have the right amount of units to even think of stimming into the natural on the other side of the map. Right when I say that, he's moving out. I don't want to see him do this. I know sitting, maybe he's just looking for a cancel on the 3rd base. That would be a fine play. If that is the only thing he wants to do, I think it's smart. If he's going to try to stim into the natural, it's not smart. Winner of the best of 5 gets $80, guys. The loser gets 20. I'm starting to really like this series for Azura. He just feels a little more solid to me, a little more complete. And I think winning that first game from the absolute horrific position he was in, he has all the right reasons to feel confident. I like the double forge here. Strange would be proud of this. We have a robotics facility in the main base as well. And more to add some Colossus in the near future. And Luolis' work account is just a little satch. 32 SCVs. What do you do with it? Is there a world where you can just sit back and try to go up to 3 bases, build a couple tanks and stay defensive? I'm sure there is. It's just not very likely that it's going to work. Azura would have to seriously mess up for his attacks not to be at least successful enough to get further and further and further ahead. The moment you've got Colossus and Zealots with charge and an upgrade advantage, even the bout fights are going to be pretty decent. You don't really have to do a whole lot of complicated things to get a good fight with Protoss once you are in such a good spot. It is what makes our race magical, guys. Once you get ahead, it's hard to throw. A move powerful, upgrades important. Can't really pull SCVs on the side of Luolis into Colossus. I think that's just kind of pointless. And you obviously know about those batteries. The Observer of Azura is right on top of the army of Luolis, so it's giving him all the movement. Good scan there. I think that's kind of what you have to do if you're Luolis. Like, you have to keep him in the dark and hope that you can somehow outmaneuver him and find him out of position, but it should legitimately just never work. It's a bit of an unfair fight at this point. The man is going to go up to 5 max or 4? No, 5, right? Well, my counting is hard, but 3 plus 2 is indeed 5. It's the same problem as before, though. It's just that you cannot really attack into the natural. The SCV pulling into the 3rd upper ramp is a straight up nightmare. I don't know. I've never been a very big fan of the build that Luolis went for here in the beginning of the game. The 2 barracks opening with the 1 hidden barracks, and to me it's just the same as many of these other very cheesy weird builds. It's like, hey, if they have no battery, I win. If they do have a battery, I'm in trouble. There's quite a few openings like that, and this is one of them. The man does have an army here, to be fair. Like 63 army supply is actually kind of decent, and he is going to stim into the natural. He's going to get one of the batteries. It's going to be very hard to stim on top of double Immortal, double Colossus. He is going to try HeroMarine friendly fire as well. That flanking Zealot. That looked promising for Luolis for like 0.1 second. But it probably would have been better to run deep into the natural. Just gun down a bunch of probes, pick up, get the hell out of here. Is anyone showing the blind match? Yeah. Today I am just doing my own event, mate. But the ESL Spring Regionals are always happening over at ESL_SC2. That is always the main channel for that event. Just every now and then I grant you guys some co-streaming action. But ESL_SC2 is always the main channel where you can watch the biggest online tourney. Where both Reynor and Trigger are still playing. They're both in the playoffs. No Serral, unfortunately, this season, but Maybe it's the season, guys, that Trigger finally gets the big dub. I feel like it's been a long time coming. And with Serral temporarily being AFK, we are going to pull the SCVs, by the way, but pulling SCVs, guys, into Protoss with at least, I think, +2 attack, +1 armor, a shield battery, a cannon, triple Colossus, and Archons. This is a bad day to be a worker. I am not one who won't show up for work. I'm not one who really believes that you should strike all the time. But if I was an SCV in this game, I would go on strike. I'll be like, sorry, boss. No can do. No, this is just this is not my day. I'm feeling a little sick. I'm like, mommy, can I stay home today? Azura activates battery, overcharge rather early. I think without it he'd be completely fine. We've got 5 Archons, triple Colossus, a couple of Immortals in the mix still. And it's obviously Azura who's going to completely destroy the army of Luolis here. GG gets called. A 2-1 lead for the Italian. As he is, maybe in the end, bringing some glory and happiness to the Italian Starcraft 2 scene today. Not there yet, but looking pretty good. Do you bring Zerg players today? The last series had a Zerg. Our first series of the night was Lord Rimbo against Cobblestone. So yes, there was a Zerg. Is that the only Zerg today? We've got Deka versus... Where's my boy Deka play again? I know the main event obviously is Salamander, the Belarusian Terran versus Hydra. And then it's Deka versus Spacey Macy. So yeah, we have a Zerg in the first match and a Zerg in the third match. Season Trigger gets the big W over J Money. I think we're all just very, very relieved that J Money did not make it into the main event. If he did, Trigger be in trouble. Be shaking in his boots. We over at Basilisk would be shaking in our boots. You know, we're ready for Scarlett. We're ready for Australia. We're ready for Special and Azura. But J Money that's a different ballgame. If there's no Serral, is it even a real tourney? Yes, it is. As much as we all love Yona, there is no scene without other competition. If it's just Yona by himself, it'd be very boring. So it's also very cool to see different tournaments. It doesn't always have to be Serral. We miss him. It would have been fun if he played, but it's also very interesting to see how this season of the Europe Regionals plays out without Serral. Plenty to root for. See how far Reynor can get playing from Korea. And of course, Trigger's run will be very exciting in NA. You hope that MaxPax does stuff in person. Yeah, but even if he doesn't, he's still super fun to watch. Like, I would obviously love to see MaxPax go to the World Cup as well, or even Dallas, right? Anything. A home story cup. But even if that doesn't happen for whatever reason, it's still fun to watch MaxPax. I'm just happy that we have not a European Protoss who can play at that level. And can actually make it hard on Serral, Reynor, and anyone else. Fingers crossed for Dallas, Anna. Just gotta come to Dallas then. Cheer for Yona in person. You'd lose your mind if MaxPax went to Dallas. I think a lot of people would. I feel legitimately at this point there is no bigger story than MaxPax going to whatever event. Alright, game 4, Site Delta. Match point for the Italian.
Round 4. Fight!
This is looking very good today. The man is very active on the ladder, plays in a lot of online tournaments, and it really shows. I think he's made great progress in the last 6 months, and let's see if he can reward himself with a W here. One more map to go for BB, EX, Azura. And in the top left side, we are looking at the main base of our Finnish Terran, who does not seem to be very happy in this series so far. Well, technically he did some things right. I think if he can just keep his calm, stay focused, bring out his A game, he still has everything to fight for. This is Luolis. I think HeroMarine winning a big tournament would be a great story too. Yeah, absolutely. I think any new European winning a big offline event that has never won an offline event would be a big story. Like imagine if Lambo or someone among the someone similar to Lambo would suddenly show up and win a big offline event. Like, that'd be very cool, right? After watching them for all these years. So whether it's a new player or an old player. So Starcraft 2 is a very, very, very difficult game. And some guys, unfortunately, just play at the kind of level where it feels almost impossible for anyone else to join them. It's not impossible. But I guess the beauty of Starcraft is that it feels close to impossible to get to that level. Another 1 gate fast expand for our man Azura. As Luolis is opening up of a single gas, so I guess he's gonna expand quickly here as well. Obviously it makes sense on side delta. We have this ramp leading into the natural. You need vision from the low ground onto the high ground if you really want to shoot at units that are waiting for you there. I think it's a very safe map to just drop your expand on location. Might still want to get a... he goes double marine into reactor. I feel like a bunker is not unnecessary luxury, but Luolis says I don't need a bunker. Fine without it. Yeah, the Oliveira upset to me was like that. Like, that is something that I actually thought was impossible. And then he showed us that impossible is nothing. I mean, to me, that's just the craziest tournament that we've had ever. And I know in the beginning we've had a lot of great, unique tournaments, and people will always come up with these runs in the beginning, but it's just a different day and age of StarCraft. They were equally awesome, but just very different. What Oliveira managed to do, like in that modern day and age of StarCraft 2, where you feel the skill levels are so refined and people are so incredibly good and solid. Mental. I would have never ever thought that was possible. And that's why it's always worth to tune in and watch, eh? I think it is one of the best moments in history of StarCraft 2. Hands down. Even if it's so late, and a lot of people always think back of like the early years of it being more unique and special because, oh, it's just the first time we saw certain things, but to me, what he accomplished skills in no comparison to all the other stuff we saw. Obviously, Serral in 2018 was amazing too. You know, winning BlizzCon for the first time, winning GSO vs. the World, but I felt like you saw that coming, and that's why we also, a lot of us predicted him to win those tournaments. As the Serral was god tier on the ladder, was god tier in the WCS events, just looked so damn complete. To me, it honestly would have been a shock if he didn't win BlizzCon in 2018. Well, Oliveira, I gave a 1% chance coming into Katowice 2022. And that's not being mean, or 2023, sorry. Not being mean at all, because I do think he's awesome, and I've always liked Time. I picked him on my WTL War Chest team in round 4 above some Korean players, so I believe in him, but I believed in him up to like this level, not through the freaking ceiling and winning Katowice. But it was awesome. I think something that anyone who was watching that tournament live will never forget. Hey, isn't that what esports is all about? Lifelong memories. Let's take a look at what Luolis is cooking up here in Game 4 of the BASILISK Big Brain Bouts, second series of the night. We've got a double Widowmine 4 Marine drop. Meanwhile, Azura is working with a triple gate and a robo. Plenty of units waiting in the main base though. Weird build by Luolis. Like, goes double mine, 4 Marine drop into Cloak Banshee as a follow-up. And we also have 4 Hellions. Ooh, units moved away for a little bit, but that's a lot of firepower on the medevac. In the end though, Azura decides to go for the units. Oh, Widowmines, like I should be able to get very big connections here. Somehow they fired at the same probe. I don't know how you really managed to do that. But with the retarget there, they fired at the exact same probe. It's still 8 probes in total, so not bad. But that should have been better. I think if this Widowmine would have gone for that one, but then this mine goes for one of the probes here, I think you get more than that. It's okay. That could have been an absolute and total disaster for Luolis. Because that medevac took a lot of damage immediately, and I think if Azura would have kept on right-clicking on the medevac would have died. Widowmines don't get out, and that could have very well been the end of our second best of 5 of the night. So we turned a potential disaster into something that we can work with. Oh, we got that Banshee as well, heading to the main base. We currently have one observer. That observer is at home. That's a big scout, I think. Here. No, somehow he misses that Banshee. That's crazy to me. War Prism misses the Banshee by an inch, but still gonna dive into the back of the main base of Luolis. 4 Stalkers is the magical number of Stalkers to one-shot some SCVs. Seems that the boys did not host with Game Heart, by the way. As Banshee, by the way, has shown up in the main. Activated Cloak, killed a additional 3 workers. What are we gearing up to then, though, Luolis? It's working with 4 racks? 5. I cannot count. Counting up to 5 has been a serious problem for me today, guys. I was like, 4 is not really a number you see very often. It's either 3 or 5. Then 8. Not familiar with the 4 barracks opening. I'm very familiar with the 4 Stalker drop, though, in the back of the main. Yes, the first one was good. The second one is even better. A lot of lost mining time on the side of Luolis and a lot of SCVs falling. 10 now in total. Banshees are still being annoying on the other side of the map, but seems like one of them just got picked off. And the other one is still flying around here. Or maybe that is the one actually who just killed probes and the first Banshee died earlier. Lord knows. What I do know is that Luolis is in a tiny bit of trouble if he does not manage to get a big victory soon. This might be another SCV pool. 2 base, 5 racks. This time around it would make more sense to pull the boys. You don't have to worry about Colossus. You don't have to worry about Archons. Now you're just battling gateway units. And Azura is a little bit late to blink back there. This is a terrifying army. Now as a 2 base Terran, you need to do great damage here. But why wouldn't he do great damage? I don't know about splitting up your forces, by the way. That's mega risky, but he's gonna get away with it. Well, Luolis has just saved himself from an entire evening of molding. Because if half of his army would have been jumped upon, he would have absolutely hated life. It's still a lot of Protoss here. Stark's going to blink forward. Maybe go for the Medivacs here with the Stalkers. I think that is kind of the play. Does not really go for it. He's just auto-attacking into buy units. Oh, Azura. I think your army had a little bit more potential there. Well, resetting the army sizes, though, is a win for Azura. But that wasn't really resetting the army size. That was more like I lose a lot of units and I kill some. Still has a 13 worker lead, has a base advantage, has money in the bank. Could still potentially make something of this game. Don't think that he's dead yet. You don't want to lose your prism for nothing. Like, maybe pick up an Immortal and drop it like over here. That would be so sick. I actually think if you pick up a single Immortal and you flank the tanks, that is an amazing play. He is going to send some Zealots to counterattack instead, and that's not a bad play either. But we need to make sure that we have enough units near our Nexus. Yeah, I do like the Zealot counter. I am enjoying that. This is a tough fight for Luolis, but he's actually going to win it because Azura is just right-clicking and doesn't want to battle. Going to have to use Battery Overcharge here. Heal up your Nexus then, mate. Using Battery Overcharge needs to be... Okay, he's not going to heal up his Nexus. We've got Zealots coming in from the top left. Stalkers are going to blink forward. Triple Immortal is putting in some serious work. The Nexus has been healed up. Who's flanking who? In the end, Luolis says, I have got reinforcements arriving too. I still think this is going to be a hold though. Those 3 Immortals, I just don't see them die. Marauders will not kill them, tanks will not kill them, and that will do it. Azura with a very sexy final engagement in this game. That was actually very well done. You waited until the absolute last second, activates Battery Overcharge, blinks forward, and the Immortals truly lived up to their name. They were immortal. The Zealots at first picked up some reinforcements, then delayed the reinforcements, then showed up to flank. And this time around we blinked forward. And the Immortals put in some serious work. Everything they shot at was armored. 50 damage a shot. And Azura says, well done, mate. $80 go to the Italian Protoss player who played a fun series. Really cool first game that was very long. Second game was a proper clown fiesta, where DT did manage to kill the only orbital, but we had a Raven, and a single Raven was good enough to reveal the Dark Templars. Overall, I think throughout the series, we can say that this was a pretty well-deserved win. I think Azura just played a bit better, a bit sharper. His build orders made more sense, and yeah, I would say that the better player won. Deserved Azura. I'm proud of you, I think you played well. That means that we're gonna settle that prediction and we're gonna get ready. For the next one. Third series of the night. $100 for the winner, $25 for the loser. Oh, you guys actually thought Luolis was going to win. I'm surprised by that. Azura gets the job done. Third series of the night. It is Deca, French P versus Spacey Macy, the man who had one of the best series in the history of the Big Brain Bouts against Mixu a couple weeks ago. I'm still recovering from that series. That was awesome. A best of 5, 100 for the win, and 25L. Beautiful. Deca, French P, 5.8k. Spacey Macy, Danish Z, 5.8k. Give you guys 10 minutes. 10 minutes, it should be fine. GG's Azura, well done, mate. I think you played very well. Solid performance, mate. Couple of beauty errors in the very beginning. That War Prism was a bit unfortunate, but I think throughout the series you played very well. I'll take a little break. Gonna go ahead and pour myself a Friday night drink, and then we'll be back with a PvZ between two excellent European video gamers. Hey Roddy, how long should an SC2 map last? Like optimal timing? I think great matches in general, like 15, 16, 17 minutes. I feel like that's kind of the sweet spot. It doesn't, for me, have to go for a whole lot longer than that. Earlier, I mean, sometimes I've seen like 12 or 13 minute games that were freaking fantastic with non-stop action, but I'm okay with anything between 15 and, let's say, 18. I feel like that's the perfect length. Take a tiny break, guys. After that, I'll be back. PvZ coming up. Denmark versus France. Vamos.